Hi friends, it's your boy Cranberry Enthusiast, and I'm actually sick right now, but the galaxy waits for no man, and so I wanted to record this video today because I am currently reading, as you may have guessed from the title of this video, I'm currently reading the book series, A Series of Unfortunate Events, and I'm about halfway through the series right now. I just finished book 6 the other day, and I haven't quite begun book 7 yet, but there's 13 in the series, so I'm not completely halfway through, but I just wanted to make a video here real quick to kind of talk about my thoughts so far, and just kind of, yeah, my thoughts, and also my theories about what might happen later on in the series, and then I'll film another one of these probably before I read the very last book, and then one at the very end. So this will probably be like a 3-part series, maybe. And in kind of the style of other videos I'm doing, I'm trying to do this as live as possible, to just kind of, yeah, like this is not the first take I've done for this video, but I'm just trying to get a feel for kind of getting used to live streams without actually doing live streams yet. So, but I don't know. Anyway, if you can make sense of anything I'm saying, then fabulous. Please explain it to me. Alright, so let's just get into it. So first of all, I'm absolutely loving the series. It is like one of the most creative, my type of humor, just fantastic book series. And it is like I'm not sure the exact, it's like a children's novel series, so it's probably for like, I don't know, middle school, early high school age. Like that's probably like the target audience or something. I'm not entirely sure, but that being said, like obviously anyone can read it if as long as you're old enough to read it, I suppose. So but blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna redo this. Hi friends, it's your boy Cranberry Enthusiast, and I am sick right now, but the galaxy waits for no man, and so I'm recording this video for y'all right now. Hooray. But yeah, as you probably know from the title of this video is about the book series, A Series of Unfortunate Events, which I am about halfway through right now. There's 13 books in the series, and I just finished book 6, so I'm not quite 100% there yet. Haven't begun book 7 yet. Yeah, I just wanted to make this video to kind of talk about my thoughts about the series so far, and as well as also kind of my wild theories and like guesses as to what might happen later on in the series, because there's a lot of like mystery and intrigue, and and also just spoiler alert, like if you want to read the series, or if you're in the middle of reading this, I don't know. If you don't want spoilers for books 1 through 6, which I don't even know how much I'm going to talk about in terms of like spoilers per se. I'm not going to be giving like summaries or anything, but that being said, like I will be probably mentioning different details and content. So if you don't want all this to say, then you can feel free to wait until you have it, and then you can watch this video and get anyway. This video is probably going to be the first part of like I'm thinking a 3-part series where I'll film another one after I finish the 12th book, then I'll read the 13th book, the final book of the series, and then film another one kind of encapsulating the whole thing. So it'll be like a trilogy of these types of videos. And as you probably noticed, I'm filming on a fairly low quality camera because I don't know how long this video is going to be. And I also I'm going to be trying to edit this as little as possible. This is not the first take I've done for this video, and so yeah. But anyway, let's just get right into it, shall we? So, first of all, Series of Unfortunate Events, fabulous book series. It is like I think it's more like a juvenile novel series, some sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure like what the like quote-unquote recommended ages or something is for it. It's probably more like a middle school, early high school target audience per se, but in my opinion, like, you know, like middle school up probably is be like a great series, and maybe younger too if, well, I don't know. I suppose I should finish the series before I determine like which age groups it's appropriate for, which as you know, if you've read any of the books of the series, the title of the series is very much not exaggerating. It is a very series of unfortunate events, and yes, there are good parts, but it's like um, obviously most of the things are pretty bad, and it keeps getting kind of worse and throughout the series and whatnot. So just a real quick, like, my thoughts on each of the books. So the first book, The Bad Beginning, which I really liked them all. First book, I'd say like um, it yeah, it probably isn't my favorite of the whole series, but it is really effective in kind of like obviously introducing the characters and the series and the basic premise of things. And I remember I was like really disappointed at the end when the Baudelaire orphans don't go to live with oh, what's her name, the judge. I'm blanking on it now. But yeah. Anyway, uh, the second book, The Reptile Room. As someone who's afraid of snakes, and obviously that book is all about snakes, it's interesting. It's that book, and then there's actually another book I was reading, or listening to an audiobook of, rather, that had like a snake as like a good character. And as someone who's like terrified of snakes, it was a really interesting experience to like have to read a book like that, and to actually be like, oh yeah, like there's I don't know, I may at some point get a little bit over my snake phobia, and I'm kind of in trying to step by step get there to an extent, but very slowly, and I'm not really trying really hard or anything. But yeah, the all in all, like I really like that, and like probably Uncle Monty is probably like one of my favorite characters. I need to do like a tier list of like the characters of each of the things, because he was really cool too. I was like genuinely sad when he died. I was like, is he gonna come back? And I was like, wait a minute, this is a series of unfortunate events. He's not gonna come back. So, but yeah. The Wide Window was also interesting too. Um, uh, yeah, I think, I mean, really, like all like the grammar jokes, I kind of found that hilarious in that one. But The Miserable Mill, fantastic. I mean, again, they all are fantastic. But I really liked the partner of the mill, Henry. Like, you know, if you know much, and you're gonna know more here watching these types of videos, my like taste in like writing styles and stuff. Uh, like, you know that I love like characters who are like genuinely good people and happy endings and stuff, which the irony of loving happy endings when you're also reading a series of unfortunate events. but I mean, as I've gotten older though too, I've come to appreciate books that do actually have like a lot of tragedy and like problems and stuff. And I mean, as things go, this is, you know, it's enough good things happen that it's not like really depressing to read. If anything, it's kind of just frustrating, or at least it has. After finishing book 6, it's just, you know, when Mr. Poe shows up at the end of the book, you know that Olaf's gonna get away again, and like Poe's gonna be like no help at all, and it's very clear from the thing, even from Lemony Snicket's narration. Which, real quick, shout out, I love Lemony Snicket's writing style. It's like, again, like my humor to like, I would love to write something like that series at some point. But yeah, and also I'm really intrigued by kind of the underlying storyline, where every now and then Lemony Snicket will like narrate that he's like, as I write this account from like the bottom room of like a dark tower, or like some sort of crazy circumstances and stuff, and it obviously seems to be like looped into things, and I'm gonna kind of get into that a little bit in my like theories and guesses about what might be coming up here in the other books. But real quick, let's jump to the 5th book again, The Austere Academy, which I also really liked. As much as like Nero, the vice principal, was like completely awful, it was also just kind of hilarious how he is just, it's just how he is so like not even like self-aware, and just the irony of like Sunny being hired as the secretary because she's not old enough to go to school, but she's old enough to be a secretary. Just kind of like really like simple, uh, like weird stuff like that. For some reason, just like it's just I find it hilarious. Just it's like so awful that it's like what you don't expect. A series of unexpected events, you might say. And so, yeah. And then it was also cool to for them to the Quagmires were introduced. The Quagmire triplets were introduced in that series too, or sorry, in that book, the fifth book, and then like that's where the mystery of oh, now I'm gonna mix it up. It's VDF, isn't it? I might be wrong, but it's an abbreviation, and I think it's VDF. VFD? Maybe it's VFD. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm sick and tired, and sick and tired of being sick and tired. But you can fact check me in the comments below and stuff, or I will, or something. Anyway, but it's an abbreviation with, I'm very confident it has V and F and D in it. But don't really. Oh yes, sorry, it is VFD. I just remembered. Because what it doesn't represent. And let me make a note of that in my notes here. Because the secret doesn't stand for it, but it's in the sixth book. It's used to describe very fancy doilies, and so yes, it's VFD. So sorry, yeah. So anyway, but VFD is first introduced in book 5, and so through that book and in book 6, the Quagmires keep trying to like tell the Baudelaires the secret of VFD, and just the infuriatingness of the Baudelaires being like, no, tell us later. We're like, we'll get you out of here, and just tell us later. Like, don't think about that right now. We're gonna, and so it's like, anyway, I am like genuinely so curious. Like talking about theories. That's one thing. I have no idea what VFD could particularly stand for. Like, yeah, and I've thought a bit about it, but it's still just nothing's really come to mind. I can't think of even really anything that would like naturally be like an abbreviation for that. So I'm really excited to see that thing. And so, real quick, jump into book 6, Ursat's Elevator. I also really like that one too, and the part where again, spoiler alert, but when the Baudelaires realize that the tunnel leading from the Ursat's elevator shaft like leads all the way to the remains of their burned down mansion. It's like, it blew my mind. I was like, it makes sense, but I don't entirely know what it specifically means, and so. But anyway, so all in all, like, I am greatly enjoying the series so far, and like I'm very much excited to continue on and see what happens with the lore and stuff too. So yeah, now I want to get into kind of my theories and guesses about what might happen, which some of them I feel confident that they will be true, or at least I feel like there's a good chance, and other ones I'm like, I don't think there's any chance of this being true at all. But there have been lots of things in the series that have been kind of like very plot twisty and stuff, and so I'm kind of hesitant to rule anything out. I might appear in the series somehow, and I'd be like, I have no idea how, or like how, anyway, but still, it might, And so yeah, so without further ado, I'm gonna just get into it with my notes here. So starting off with things that I feel like have a good chance is, first one is just fairly simple. I'm guessing that Sunny will, by the end of the series, say a full coherent sentence, because at this point, like most of the time she speaks in like gibberish that her siblings are able to like completely understand and stuff, whereas of course no one else really can. But she has, though, at times, especially as the series has progressed, she's said specific words. In Ursat's elevator, actually, like she says a word like at the end, which kind of actually really impacts the whole trajectory of the ending of the story. Again, spoiler alert stuff, but yeah. But my guess is like this will continue, and probably by the end of the series, she will actually say like a full sentence consisting of several words and stuff that is like coherent to like everyone who hears. And so yeah, another fairly simple guess I have is that each book will continue to have 13 chapters each. It's been this way for books 1 through 6, as far as I remember. Um, and there's 13 books of the series. 13 just seems like yeah, I mean, it's traditionally the unlucky number. And yeah, I really think probably will continue. I do know the 13th book of the series is the biggest book of the series, and so I'm curious whether that will exactly have 13 chapters or not, just longer chapters, but in all honesty, I think it probably will. So, another thing, which we're getting into deeper lore here, and I'm pretty, like, there's been so much, like, hints and evidence of this that I am, like, absolutely convinced of this point. But, the thing being that Count Olaf, the primary antagonist of the series, who is trying to steal the Baudelaire's fortune. The theory, my guess, is that he is responsible directly, and maybe it was like some of his like henchmen, known as his Theotrope or something, who like actually did things. But he is responsible though for the fire that burned down the Baudelaire mansion and killed the Baudelaire's parents at the very beginning of the series. And I mean, so many pieces of evidence point to that. There's, I think, in it's either The Wide Window or The Miserable Mill, if I remember right, where Olaf or Mr. Poe is like describing the crimes that Olaf has committed, and he's listing them out, and Olaf says something like, "And don't forget arson." And so it's like the main thing of like, anyway, so there's that, and then obviously in Ursat's we learn that there's a tunnel that leads directly to the Baudelaire mansion, connected to a place where one of Olaf's like assistants lives or lived at the time, and so it's like the connection there, it seems really like, yeah, hasn't been right out there. And I think there's a few other things, but those are the two main pieces of evidence that come to mind. And kind of related to that, because like I'm very confident about that, is that I also think that Olaf is responsible for the fire that also killed the Quagmire parents and one of the Quagmire triplets, whose name is Quigley. So, just, I don't have as much evidence for that, but just, if given all the evidence that he's responsible for the Baudelaire fire, and it seems like he's the main antagonist for everything with the series, I think that he would be responsible for the other one too. Again, not as much strong evidence, but I still am fairly leaning toward that. Next up are a few like guesses that I'm not maybe as confident about, but I still think are fairly likely, even though I may not really want them to be. And some, though, I would like to be, so. And these will kind of progressively get more crazy to where it's like, I don't think that this is true at all, but I have trouble ruling anything out with this series, so let's just get back into it. So the first is that Olaf is somehow going to steal the Quagmire's diamond fortune, which I see that as more likely. And another thing is like that he's somehow going to steal the Baudelaire fortune as well, which it is a series of unfortunate events. As with some of these other guesses, I'm like, I think wouldn't surprise me too much for them to completely end absolutely badly like that, but yeah, at the same time, it's like the optimist in me really wants there to be some sort of thing. But anyway, kind of talk more about that here in a minute. But so yeah, so the next is it has to do actually with, so there's a character named Beatrice who the books are typically all dedicated to you, or really dedicated to her, unless you're Beatrice watching this. Hi. Um, but uh, yeah, and so we learn kind of through Lemony Snicket's narration that Beatrice was the woman that Lemony Snicket loved, but she married someone else, and then like that person, it's, if I remember right, it's, I don't know if it's ever officially confirmed, but it's really heavily implied that whoever she married like killed her. And my guess is that it's Olaf, who is the guy who married Beatrice and then later kills her. And Beatrice is apparently known by um, Esme Squalor, and Lemony Snicket in his narrations has things where he talks about talking to other people about Count Olaf and stuff. So it's, there is some deep lore in there, and I'm really excited to see what it will be about. But as of now, I think that kind of the cards are pretty clear that it's Olaf's the responsible there. Another guess, which I think would be really cool. This is one that I would really like to happen, but I don't know 100% for sure. But that Lemony Snicket will appear in person at some point in the story. So of course, as of right now, he's the narrator, narrated or given the story as though he's like talking to you, basically, for the most part. But I really, given that he keeps doing anecdotes about him, like basically living in the Baudelaire universe, the Lemony Snicket, a cinematic universe. Like I definitely see it as a possibility, and I really hope that he will appear in person. Like maybe he meets the Baudelaires by the very end, or maybe the end, so the end, meaning the 13th book titled The End, will be a like an in person, or like a present tense, I should say, writing, as opposed to like the books so far have been like recollections of the past, basically, like records like that. So anyway, here's another completely off the wall theory that I really don't think it's true. The name of the series is A Series of Unfortunate Events, but it's like, it's the best thing that I could think of. Is that first of all, hopefully Beatrice isn't actually dead. I think she is, but according to this theory, maybe she's not. Maybe she's somehow just, everyone thinks she's dead, but she didn't actually die. And so she and Lemony Snicket will eventually get together, and so happy ending there. And then maybe they'll be the ones who end up adopting the Baudelaires at the very end of the entire series. So, which again is like, to use Five Nights at Freddy lore, the good ending, which probably will not be true, because again, remembering the title of the series, I think about that and I'm like, yeah, I'm very sure Beatrice is dead, and I don't think the series will, I don't know, I hope I'm pleasantly surprised, but at this point I'm expecting like the series to end absolutely abysmally, I'm still gonna love it, somehow, like, in ways I can't explain, but anyway, so there's that. Another thing, I am really like divided on whether or not Olaf will ever face any like real like justice of any kind. Because I want to say yes, I want to say at the end of the series that he's actually arrested and like everything comes to light. But again, remembering the title of the series, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Another kind of off the wall theory is that what if Mr. Poe is actually working for Olaf and a part of somehow Olaf's 9D chess grand scheme, and I like don't really see any chance of that being like, or I see maybe like a 2.3% chance of that even being remotely true. But I mean, Mr. Poe seems like so like absent absent-minded and stuff anyway, that like I feel like if he is one of Olaf's, I don't really think he's faking it, if that makes sense. Like it definitely seems like he is he is genuinely kind of absent-minded about most things. So anyway, and final guess here, which again I don't really think is likely, that again it would be such a crazy plot twist, but what if Lemony Snicket is actually Count Olaf in disguise? And so what if actually Count Olaf is narrating this entire series, and like that, woo, blow my mind. But yeah, so there are my like, well, and again, don't think that's accurate. Like, there's been enough things that it seems like Lemony Snicket is his own character and stuff. Like, so, but anyway, just a wild idea. And so there are like my theories, and again, I'm very excited to keep reading the series and looking forward to, looking forward to finishing up the thing. Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'm feeling better soon, and we will see you all later. Hopefully this video turns out too. I have no idea if I like look sick on camera or like what's going on, but anyway, thanks, and see you all later.